Hello, friends. Hello. It's the late night for me and early morning for you stream. Quite possibly, depending on where you're coming from. Oh, I see some friends here in the chat. Hello, friends. Let me get a country shout out right now. Tell me where you're watching from. Are you up super late in the United States? Oh, I see some friends here in the chat. And we are muting the live stream so we don't get circular comments. So, friends, if you're watching this on the replay or anything else, it's not just Q&A tonight. We got a very special topic. I just pulled it out from under the desk. That's what it was, under the desk. Endgame predictions, not Winds of Winter predictions. Endgame predictions. One of the questions I've been getting a lot lately with some of you guys that are new to the channel is how do you think it's going to end? So that's what we're going to talk about tonight. If you would like to super chat or PayPal me, you can throw anything out there, but I am asking you to name a character and a question. So Theon, and then say, do you think he'll be King of the Iron Islands? Or do you think he'll, gain a magical connection with Bran or anything else like that? So give me a character and give me some sort of leading question or comment or something to throw out and get it started. And we'll just go around. We're going to do 2 live streams, one tonight, one tomorrow. Tomorrow will be at the normal time. Tonight is, again, for you guys in let's see, the Netherlands, Oregon, California. Hey, what's up, California friends? Let's see here. If you're in California, by the way, follow me on Instagram. Hit me up. Let's hang out when quarantine is over. Just anybody. Let's hang out. It's so lonely. All right. So Bulgaria, very cool. UK. Pakistan, awesome. Canada. New Jersey, up late. Shout out to you night owls. Yep, I'm always up at 2 in the morning. So for me, I'm starting this at midnight. This is right in the pocket, man. I'm probably more comfortable streaming now than I am like 3 in the afternoon. Roseville, shout out to you're in Roseville. That's cool, man. Slovenia. All right, cool. Well, I want to get to some topics. So I won't keep reading names, but check this out on the replay. So thanks for putting all this in. Oh, there's Serbia. I got to give Serbia a shout out. Very good. Very good. Germany. I know there's somebody from Australia watching too. Shout out. So guys, what character should we start with? Like I said, endgame predictions. By the way, this is officially when I do a Saturday night stream. It's Beers with Beers. My name is David Beers. And we're drinking some Scrimshaw Pilsner. I love a good Pilsner. Brewed in Fort Bragg, California. What do you know? My good friend and roommate Quinn was just in Fort Bragg last week. Shout out to Quinn. Yes, that's right. Beers with Beers. Oh, Brazil. 4 a.m. in Brazil. You either love me lots and lots or you just can't go to sleep and you're super glad I'm streaming. So yeah, throw me a character, guys. Oh, I see Crow's Eye. Oh, yeah, just grab the low-hanging fruit. Yeah, no, I see your comments, Australia. I see you. One of the things that's nice about some of the various, WordPress and YouTube traffic stuff is shows me where you guys are coming from. I've always got a huge kick out of that. It's kind of a tripper thought if you guys, those of you or experienced, thinking about like the ways that people connect, hidden connections between things. So the fact that I can beam my voice into houses all around the world is very cool. I get a lot of fun out of that. Yeah. So okay. So I see. Okay. Let's start with Jaime Lannister. Sure. Jaime Lannister. I think. And guys, once we switch to the character, feel free pile on. Let me know what you think here. But so Jaime, I think Jaime is definitely going north and will join the Watch or the fight against the others. I don't know if he'll officially join the Watch, but he is heading north either to Winterfell or to the Wall. The TV show kind of brought everybody to Winterfell just about. I don't necessarily think that will happen, but I do think a lot of characters are being shaped into people who are ready to throw it all on the line for the cause, right? I think you can see how Jaime's getting there. He's in the process of working through his issues and atoning for some of the things he's done. So definitely think he's headed north. Jaime also has that increasing icy symbolism. Oh, what's up, Mandy? Hey, Portugal. you know, his beard is turning silver and gray, and he's got 2 horses, Honor and Glory, one of which has all the snow symbolism. He's putting on the winter raiment of the Kingsguard, which is even more other-like and snowy than before. So I definitely think he's headed north. The big question is this one here, actually. Thank you, Jan. Will Jaime die killing Cersei and then be resurrected to go north? So the big question is with Cersei, right? We know that the Jaime Cersei loop has to close. I feel pretty confident that Jaime's going to be the Valonqar, which means that he's going to kill Cersei or do something that maybe symbolism-wise equals killing Cersei. But I would say killing Cersei probably. That seems... So is that going to happen before he goes north or after? It depends on the order of events of the whole thing. I think the Jaime Cersei thing is actually at the very end. My general Endgame order of events is that the TV shows flip some things around, essentially. I do expect the climax to be more in the north, of course. And essentially, I do think Cersei will be in King's Landing at the end and need to be cleaned out of the Shire, kind of like Sauron, if you will. But I think it'll be the Starks that do that. I don't think there's going to ever be a Dany Cersei thing. Essentially, Dany's coming to King's Landing next. So the moment when Dany almost destroys King's Landing, walks up to the edge, or whatever it is, I think she'll echo Stannis, essentially. And I'm kind of talking about Dany now, but this is sort of the big event that everything else hinges on. So Dany's coming to probably Dragonstone, maybe Old Town, but she's coming to Westeros. She's fixated on taking the Iron Throne. So the first thing she'll be doing is planning to take the Iron Throne. I suspect she will try and either fail or try and stop because she'll see all the death and casualties. Kind of like Stannis tried to take King's Landing, failed. Then Stannis goes north to the Wall to fight the real foe. If I want to be king, I've got to go north. Blah 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 blah. New Zealand. There we go. Hey, New Zealand. So I would think that the order is like this. Fagon's going to take King's Landing next. There's no question he's going to take it from Cersei. Cersei is going to go to Casterly Rock. I think George has talked about we're going to see Casterly Rock, and it makes sense for that to be through Cersei. So Cersei goes to Casterly Rock. King Fagon is popular. He becomes the Mummer's Dragon with the cheering crowds, blah, 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 blah. And then Dany's going to be trying to take King's Landing from Fagon. So there's not a Cersei-Dany thing. And then, like I said, Dany stops short, fails, something or other, then goes north. I think her story ends in the north, and it's King Bran and the Starks who have to come back to King's Landing. And I think at some point, Fagon will be thrown down and we'll get Cersei back in King's Landing somehow. So Jaime, to get back to Jaime, after he's all the way done with the great battle in the north, the very last thing down at King's Landing when Bran becomes king, I think will involve Jaime and Cersei and the Valonqar stuff right then. So not a total redemption for Jaime. Probably dies with Cersei. We all want him to go and live happily ever with Brienne. That seems to be too much to hope for. I don't know. I'm curious what you guys think about Brienne and Jaime and how much resolution that will get. If that'll be sort of similar to the show, where they have a moment and then Jaime's like, "Oh, I can't be happy. I've got to go and murder my sister." Yeah. And yes, I am coming out of the closet as Italian. I've slicked my hair back. I'm like a third Italian and a third German and a third English, British Isles, Welsh, Irish, British. British. So, yeah, I slick my hair back. I look Italian. I'm going to grow the beard out and then I look more German. Thank you for your concern and comments. I appreciate that. So let's see here. Cersei. So the other question. Okay, so I'm seeing Cersei questions from Mark. Do you think she'll team up with Euron and be that woman from the Forsaken chapter? I don't think so. I am starting to really feel like the Hands of White Fire lady from the Forsaken vision of Euron is something bigger than what we've seen, like the Night's Queen or Nissa Nissa's Spirit in the Weirwood net. Something more crazy like that. Or Daenerys herself. So I don't think it will be Cersei. I don't think Cersei makes sense to have Hands of White Fire. That sounds like sorcery, not a reference to wildfire, which is Cersei's sort of fire connection. So I think Hands of White Fire Lady is either Daenerys or, like I said, Night's Queen, you know, Euron's spirit girlfriend, Night's Queen, or Nissa Nissa in the Weirwood net. So I do think that, I don't think Cersei and Euron will team up. I don't think so. Will Fagon be accidentally burned alive by Daenerys? That's a good question related to what we were just talking about. That's something like that. Yeah, eaten by the dragon. I could see that, the Rhaenyra thing being echoed. I think that there'll be a note of tragedy. Fagon seems set for tragedy. I do expect that to hurt Dany, even if he is a lie and he's not really who he says he is. I think, yeah, I'm seeing agreement, by the way, here. Yeah, that Jaime and Cersei have to go out together. That would be too happy of an ending for him to like deal with all his issues and then just be happy ever with Brienne. And Brienne deserves better. I mean, she deserves what she wants, and she wants Jaime, so she deserves that. But ultimately, there are better relationship partners probably than Jaime for Brienne. But in any case, Brienne character stream coming soon, by the way. That one's on sort of on the back of my brain to do soon. I interrupted myself. What were we just talking about? Do I think Euron's horn will work? Yes, it will work, but what's it going to do? That's the question. What's it going to do? Is it going to call a dragon? Or is it going to call a celestial dragon, a comet, some sort of meteor? That's kind of what I'm thinking, honestly. I'm looking at those horns very suspiciously because, of course, the question from the beginning, since I figured out this whole moon disaster deal, is like, how can we call well, two questions. Did human magicians cause the long night? And if so, how? How do green seers or evil dragon lords steer comets or call comets? Dragonbinder seems a really good answer to me. All of the symbolism implies that it can call comets and that it's like Nissa Nissa's scream that broke the moon. And it's an actual physical device. The sound is like crazy. It fills the world. So maybe it sings all the way to the stars. It seems like one of the most powerful magical implements in the story. So, and all the symbolism of both the Horn of Winter and, Horn of Winter, Horn of Jormung, and Dragonbinder, it's very much like an ice and fire version of each other. It's all about disaster. There's tons of Ragnarok shit. Obviously, the Horn of Jormung refers to Jormungandr, which is the Midgard serpent who encircles the world and breaks loose at Ragnarok to fuck shit up, like basically everything does at Ragnarok. So, yeah. And by the way, update on the Norse mythology thing. I'm trying to finish those videos. I had like a lower back thing for like a week and couldn't sleep well. Actually, like 2 weeks, honestly. And it's just been hard to finish. I'm trying to get the first video out in like a day or two. I'm just doing this, click, click, click. But they're going to be awesome. I'm fired up about them. So those are coming. That's part of the reason why I'm doing Q&As this weekend. I didn't have time to do the preparation, bloody, bloody, bloody. But this looks like we're having fun here. So you guys are stoked. Got a couple super chats. Let's see. And I am definitely going to do, after I do these 3 Norse videos, what I was trying to say was definitely going to do a big Ragnarok Song of Ice and Fire video. Yeah, that's going to be fun. So is a Song of Ice and Fire based on the Graham Hancock Randall Carlson theory? Well, no. Of a meteor strike 10,000 years ago, creating a long night flood event origin myth. Yes and no. Okay, so Randall Carlson has kind of come into the Graham Hancock orbit more recently. I do think that George, when he wrote A Song of Ice and Fire, he was writing it all the way back in like 94 through 96, I want to say. And a very important book came out in 1994 called Fingerprints of the Gods. This is the book that put Graham Hancock on the map. It is theoretical. I'm not saying I believe and endorse every single idea in here, but the overarching theory that Graham Hancock has is that there's something true behind the myth of Atlantis, Mu, Lemuria, just vaguely speaking, that the human civilization could be a species with amnesia, that we could have had previous cycles of existence where people maybe got a little more advanced, got, wiped out by the end of the last ice age, global flooding. There's 3 big meteor impacts, lots of cataclysmic stuff. And people tend to live near the water, and sea level has risen about 400 feet globally since 10,000 BC or so. So there are some blank spots in history and stuff where there's room for previously advanced cultures, and we're rewriting history all the time. So that's the basic idea, that not that Atlantis, quote unquote, is real, but that there could be the hunter-gatherer, or you even just want to say hunter-gatherer humans were more advanced and scientific, doing advanced astronomy and things like that than we give them credit for. If you want to, that's like the simple version of the theory. In any case, this book did come out in 94. I want to say it was, and it was big. It was very popular. Yeah, published in 95. And it definitely talks about comets as a potential cause for global disaster. The Younger Dryas, essentially. The Younger Dryas being a 1,200-year cold snap in the middle of what was a gradually warming, very long trend. So I do think it's influenced George. And sort of the fun idea here is that this event, the previous high civilization, I'm just Atlantis with air quotes, if you will, it's so far away in the past that there's only little fragments of the memory scattered around. And so he's going around and looking at the oldest myths, the creation myths of certain very old cultures, and saying, look, there's some similarity here, talking about the seven sages, the sort of pattern of a figure coming from across the ocean in some advanced boat from an advanced culture and sort of teaching everybody stuff, kind of like the Gray King a little bit. The idea that Graham is sniffing at is maybe there's a super old event that is, you can only find the memories of it, the scattered memories of it in the oldest myths scattered around the world. What does that sound like? That sounds like my theory, right? I am A Song of Ice and Fire, Graham Hancock, in that sense. I'm saying that there was an event 8 to 10,000 years ago, so long ago, nobody has a clear memory, but it was so impactful that, of course, there are these tales of moons cracking and the long night and all the stars falling and stars bleeding and all kinds of things like that. So I do think that George maybe kind of got that idea to hide the long night disaster in all the myth. Not got it from Graham Hancock, but this might have been the thing that was like putting that in his head. Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn does some stuff like that too. And I think George got a lot of his ideas about how to do symbolism in the book from Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn. And I discussed that on the Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn live stream that you can find way back on my channel somewhere. So, okay. I think make sure I didn't miss a super chat back there. And I'm sorry I've missed the chat the last few minutes. I went off on Graham Hancock. Let's talk about the Maesters. Oh, that is a good question. Quinn and I were thinking about doing a Winds of Winter Maesters stream. What is their end game? Are they actively working for the great other, useful idiots, or both? Will their propaganda be revealed? The Maesters are trying to make your life better, Slick Will. We should be rooting for the Maesters. The magic is bad. The magic doesn't do anyone any good. It's mostly bad. The Maesters are trying to create a stable world and actually help Westeros advance into the future. I know it's, magic is fun and we're in a fantasy world, and so we want the magic to flourish, kind of. But really, if you're a citizen of Westeros, the Maesters are mostly trying to move the ball forward. So I think that for the most part is their end game. Now, within the Citadel, is there secret cabals and agendas? Absolutely. That sounds like way too much fun to pass up as a writer. So I do think there's some stuff like that going on. The Church of Starry Wisdom, exactly, Sick Willie. Could they be working within the High Tower? I think the thing is, okay, so Marwyn is definitely Starry Wisdom. Marwyn is good guy, in my opinion. I think Marwyn knows what's up. So your question here is really good. Is the Church of Starry Wisdom sinister? Could the Lovecraft reference be a misdirect? On the Hancock theory, seafaring depends on reading the stars. Yes, that's the whole thing. That's why the Church of Starry Wisdom is alive in port cities around the world, because sailors have always, in the real world, tended to favor religions heavily based on astronomy and astrology because they navigate by the stars. So that makes perfect sense. It's tied to the Bloodstone Emperor, who came to Westeros via boat, at Battle Isle, according to my theorizing. So I do think that, is it a misdirect? A little bit, yes. I guess it does work as a misdirect. I do think the Bloodstone Emperor was plenty sinister. And I do think Quave is questionable. She seems to be Starry Wisdom. I did a Great Empire of the Dawn Church of Starry Wisdom live stream, by the way. If you like Starry Wisdom Church, I've got 2 hours of it in the Great Empire of the Dawn playlist. But I think that it's a misdirect in the sense that, like, yeah, Marwyn and Quave kind of know what they're doing. They seem to be focused on the others and using the dragons to fight the others. I think that's the right answer. So I'm kind of Team Starry Wisdom. Don't necessarily endorse all their practices. Who knows what goes on, in the bowels of their temples. But, they may be the kind of utilitarian ally that we don't want, but, that we have to work with here. So thanks, you guys. All these super chats. This is awesome. And I am going to check the paypal.me/mythicalastronomies in a second. If you're sending in PayPals, I have not forgotten you. I'm going to get right to that. So good question so far. Thank you very much, Mrs. Sweet Swag. Do you think that the magic in the wall had something to do with Maester Aemon's longevity? Sam stated several times how rapidly Aemon's wits and health depleted as soon as they left the wall. I kind of do. I don't think it's as simple as the cold preserves. I mean, because they're always every scene with Maester Aemon, they're always like lighting a fire and keeping the fire going in his chambers. They got to keep the old guy warm. When he's dying, same thing, got to keep him warm. But I do suspect that the magic in the North could have something to do with it. At the same time, though, I think mostly Aemon's just a really old guy, and like he's in a stable thing. Think about germs too. Like on the wall, it's very low population, stable population. All of a sudden, he's traveling on a boat. He's traveling overseas. He's in Essos. He's very old. So he probably just caught a pneumonia or something. I mean, I actually don't think there's a ton of mystery there. I just think he's super old. And they even say, like, oh, this voyage could kill him. Like, if you think about it, if you had a 102-year-old grandpa, would you want to put him on like a cog, and ship him across the Atlantic? No, you would not. So I do think that, of course, hopefully you saw the Aemon stream. I love Maester Aemon. He's a great character. We had a great Aemon stream a couple weeks ago. It was lots of fun. And I think the wit thing was just like, that was literally, he was dying. And that's when he started losing his wits. I don't think he was, exactly, Minty. He was very sedentary before and just had all his things on the shelf where he wanted them and all that stuff. So, yeah. He traveled like the equivalent of Africa. Yeah, I'm not sure if it was quite that. I mean, it was pretty damn far. It's uncertain how big anything really is, but it's definitely pretty far. It's at least from like, I was thinking about it more like the British Isles around Spain to like Italy or something like that. But it's definitely a long trip. Makoro and Victarion's arm. That's a good one. I think you don't give somebody a burning fire hand for no reason. Like, that's clearly going somewhere. So what could Victarion do with a burning fire hand, guys? He could hold a burning sword, right? He could maybe that would give him an affinity with a dragon. Maybe that will let him blow Dragonbinder himself. Maybe, I don't think that's where it's going, but is he just going to choke? Is he just going to choke strangle whites? Is he going to end up like at the very end? Is he going to join the Night's Watch and he's just going to, with his fire hand, is going to be like choke slamming like the whites all the time? I mean, I don't know. Maybe that's it. Yeah. Could he grab an ice white? Exactly. You're seeing what I'm seeing, Carl. So yeah, thank you, Carl. There is the Maester Aemon live stream link. Yeah. So, and then there's the question of, Makoro, what's up with him? Is he, he seems to be even more powerful than Melisandre, survived 10 days in the ocean. Is he I don't think he's glamored. I mean, he looks friggin' awesome the way he is. So I think it's probably how he looks, but we don't know what his level of being alive is. He could be further than Mel with the whole fire transformation. So he could be the equivalent of a fire other almost on the inside. Because Mel, of course, is transforming into a being that runs on fire straight up. So I think Makoro is probably a similar beast. Okay, and again, just making sure I didn't miss any. And I'm sorry everything looks so dark tonight. For some reason, the camera's like picking up weird, and all the lights are on, but it's just like kind of dark back there. So it's the night stream. It's dark. I don't know. I don't know what to say there. I'm not Planetos's Alex Jones. That's only when I do like the Squishers podcast. Like, turn the fucking Squishers gay, gay, gay. By the way, if you haven't seen the Turn the Frogs Gay Alex Jones like dance remix, that's like the only Alex Jones clip you ever need to watch. In any case, yeah, my house. My house is haunted by Quinn. That's about it. Maybe he'll come out and tell me how the story's going to end. He's probably in for the night. We'll see. Okay, what was I doing? I was going to check my email, yes, to see about all these lovely PayPals that you folks might be sending in and are sending in. Look at that. John T. 666, thanks, buddy. No comment, just a thank you. Michael L., thanks for the wonderful analysis. You've been styling in the tie-dye the past few streams. We were releasing anything in the LML merch shop. I need to put some new merch on the shop. That shirt is custom made for me by my friend Andrea. She bought the white one and then did a dye on it, did that cool tie-dye on it. So if you want a tie-dye, they don't have them on the Teespring shop, but you can make your own with a white one if you're OG and know how to tie-dye. Let's see here. Amelia, Insomniac, Feminudist. Cool, what's up there? Decided to have, sorry, this was a bit of a personal note. Thank you, appreciate it. No question there. And let's see here. I know it's easy to say Sam will end up a maester of some kind, but what do you think is the end game for him? Good question. Let's talk about Sam next. Perfect. And guys, if you're asking a question and I miss it, just hang tight. I'm going to stick around and try to take everybody's question today. The whole point of this is to give you folks who can't make the regular time live streams a chance to ask. So just be patient. If I'm in the flow, just hang tight and try to get it in there. Super chat is a way to guarantee to force it in. But I will try to get everybody's questions. So thanks for bearing with me. It's kind of the thing, you got to switch back and forth. But Sam, so the point about Sam, and this is actually this is going to sort of tie in with Bran. I really can't talk about this part of Sam without talking about Bran. So as you guys know, I have a theory about the Weirwood net, which is essentially that human green seers don't belong in there. Azor Ahai, the children of the forest are another deal. I think they had a bond with the Weirwood trees that goes before the horrible face carving. Shout out to my Weirwood face down here. You can see he's on the wall. He's not bleeding. He's it's dead wood. It's not a living tree. In any case, the Weirwood trees don't look happy, right? They have carved, bleeding faces. They look to be screaming essentially, and the leaves are compared to bloody hands, so more gore. The idea of a red-handed guilt as a symbol there, the red-handed guilt. That's also, it looks like flames, so there's blood and fire. It kind of looks like a person whose hair is on fire, whose hair is bleeding. And there's Weirwood Compendium is where you can find the detail on this. But basically, I think that Azor Ahai, the original sin of this entire story, when he killed Nissa, that was only part of the ritual. Nissa seems to be a child of the forest or an elf woman, something like that, green man woman. And Azor Ahai was killing her, not really to forge Lightbringer, actually. He's actually trying to get into the Weirwood net to seize the fire of the gods. That is the symbolic burning tree of the Weirwood net. That's the Lightbringer that he was grabbing. And so he invades the Weirwood net. We see a very important echo of this in the prologue of A Game of Thrones. You should always look at the first chapter of any great book to see what the themes are. The prologue of A Game of Thrones is all about Sir Waymar the Bold invading the woods, heedless of his friends, heedless of all the signs, heedless of the woods. He charges on headstrong and he wakes the others. He brings the others out of the wood, confronts them, and gets transformed into a one-eyed wight. And of course, the one-eyed wight is actually a symbol of Odin, of being a wizard. So think about it as like an ice version of Bloodraven. That's what Waymar becomes in terms of symbolism when he rises from the dead with one eye. one blue eye. And even the sword shard that pierces his other eye mirrors Bloodraven with the root piercing his blind eye. So what that's telling us is that the original sin of this story, it started when somebody invaded the wood, heedless of all caution. Okay, that's Azor Ahai invading the Weirwood net. And then that created the others, that woke the others, that brought the others out of the wood, meaning out of the Weirwood trees, because the others are connected to the Weirwood trees. And so what Bran has to do is he has to atone for that sin. He's got to help fix it. And it might be more than Bran, but the main thing is that we have to get what we call the green seer hive mind, okay? The combined consciousness of all the dead green seers. It's got to go out of the trees, guys. We got to get it out of the trees. It never belonged there. Think about it like this, okay? The trees have been whited, meaning like they are just corpses. It is something else that is animating them. It is very much like when Bran steals Hodor's body and Hodor's spirit is reduced to hiding in the corner and like, you know, while Bran basically takes up all the room in his head. So I think it's similar with the Weirwoods. The trees are like zombies. They're like whites. They look like whites, right? They're like, oh, they've had their brains scooped out. And it's the green seers are like parasites, essentially, living in the Weirwood net. It doesn't mean Bloodraven's evil or Bran is evil. They're there because the thing's already rolling and already started. I believe that the green seers are trying to like hold it together right now. But the answer ultimately is actually a lot like what we saw on the show, where Bran has a download and everything in the Weirwood net gets downloaded into his Bran brain. This clears the green seers out of the Weirwood trees, potentially opening up room for the others to go back into the trees, solving that problem. So now it makes sense for Bran to be king because he has all the knowledge of history, the real knowledge of history in his head. I don't think he'll be a green seer anymore because once he downloads it out of the Weirwood net, he might not be connected to the Weirwood net anymore. He shouldn't be. So what he's going to be is a very smart little cripple boy. I don't think he'll have magic. He could. I could be wrong about that. But what he is going to have is, like I said, all the knowledge of history in his head. So I think Sam, this is where Sam comes in. We saw the baby form of this idea on the show where Sam is writing a Song of Ice and Fire, right? He's writing the book of the recent history of this war against the others. Well, I can see Sam basically sitting down with Bran for the next 30, 50 years or whatever that Bran has to live to write down the real history of the realm. So I think that we will see the knowledge, the library of knowledge transfer from the trees to the books. And the thing is that the whole idea of the Weirwood net is really just a metaphor for reading and for books anyway. Shout out to Ravenous Reader. So this will be really cool. We will see the magical metaphor morph into the thing it represents, which is reading. And that's why George says the reader lives 1,000 lives, right? So just like the Weirwood net. So there you go. That was a pretty fun one. Thanks for that. So that's Sam's endgame. And yes, exactly, Lady Dre. Bran, I don't think will be, oh, I don't want anything. I can't be the lord of anything except for, oh yes, the Iron Throne, which I don't really want, but I wanted it all the time. It's not going to be all weird like that. With the weird mirror scene where he can't even say thank you or whatever. That was weird. So yeah, that's not, I think Bran is, he'll be like tweaked out and stuff, but like, he's not going to be a robot. That sucked. It didn't even make sense, really. And it wasn't consistent either, but we're not bagging on the show. Not big on Tyrion Targ theory. I think the symbolic link between him and Viserys with false crowns of cold is really interesting. False crowns of cold. I apologize. That is not jogging my memory. That needs more room than probably what you have here. Hit me up in the comments of the video, maybe with a longer version of this question, and I will look for it and answer it. I'm not sure what the link with Viserys is here. I mean, Viserys obviously has the crown of gold that kills him, but I don't know how that ties in with Tyrion. Apologies. And one above that. The allegory would be Six Skins calling himself an abomination as his invasion of the Weirwood net warging is yes, exactly right. So Thistle, think about we've seen this pattern of that I call the Weirwood stigmata. And that means that a person, usually a woman, being killed takes on the symbolism of a Weirwood tree. Catelyn at the Red Wedding and Thistle being invaded by Varamir are the two most clear examples. So the symbolism of the Weirwood tree, bloody face, bloody mouth, bloody eyes, bloody hands, and bloody hair, if you will, because the canopy looks like hair. So when Thistle, and also silent, right? Because the Weirwoods are screaming, but silently. So Thistle, when Varamir steals her body or tries to, she bites off their tongue. So now she's silent and has a bloody mouth like a Weirwood. She claws out her eyes. So she has carved face and bleeding eyes. The hair doesn't happen, but they get all that symbolism there. And then the finishing part of it is that after Varamir tries to steal Thistle, he gets immediately bounced into an actual Weirwood tree. So we can see that Thistle's Weirwood tree symbolism is followed up by an actual Weirwood tree, just to sort of show you that Thistle is representing a Weirwood tree. So Varamir Sixskins killing Thistle and then going into the Weirwood tree, that's basically Azor Ahai and Nissa Nissa. That's what I'm saying. Azor Ahai uses Nissa Nissa to get into the Weirwood tree. He kills her. She has a connection to the Weirwood, so he's sort of invading her body, invading the Weirwood net all at the same time. And Nissa Nissa, in the act of dying, merges with the Weirwoods and goes into the Weirwood net. I've got a whole theory about that, but that's why Thistle looks like a Weirwood as she turns, as Varamir's then going into the Weirwood. And abomination is the word to describe all of it. The whole chapter, #abomination, is Varamir thinking about all the abominations. And the ultimate abomination of all, of course, is stealing the flesh of another man or woman. And then, so then as he's doing this ultimate abomination, the entire thing is being spelled out as a symbol of Azor Ahai invading the Weirwood net, which tells you that the original abomination was Azor Ahai's murder of Nissa Nissa and invasion of the Weirwood net. So any angle you take on Azor Ahai and Nissa Nissa leads you back to it was a murder. It was not a willing sacrifice. Azor killed Nissa Nissa as a brutal act of gaining power. Just over and over we see that. So in the books, Bran's small council, you got some Edmure Tully, Master of Laws, Jan Royce, Ships, Davos Seaworth, Master of Coin, Wyman Manderley, Lord Commander of the Kingsguard, Brienne of Tarth. Not bad, not bad. There's some good picks there. Hey, yeah, shout out to India. What's going on? What's going on, Vansh? I've seen many comments from you lately, so nice to see you there. Yeah, just trying to spread the love around the globe. Let's see. Does Garth give you Abraham vibes? If God doesn't give him a sacrifice and Isaac dies, does a Weirwood grow? So, right. So Abraham can't have kids. That's kind of his story. Is forever he gets really old, can't have kids. Then miraculously he has a kid, Isaac. And then when Isaac becomes a teenager, God's like, oh, by the way, sacrifice Isaac to me on a burning altar because I said so. And it goes all the way to the point of putting Isaac on the altar. And then God's like, yeah, psych, I just was testing your loyalty because I'm kind of like that, kind of a dick. So I don't really see a parallel to that with Garth. I don't see, the child sacrifice. There definitely is magical child sacrifice happening, but I don't necessarily know. Abraham was a shepherd and a wanderer. I'd have to think about that more. Slick Willie, will you hit me up on Twitter or something, or give me a longer comment in the video comments so we can flesh that one out? That's kind of I have to think about comparisons like that for a little bit to sort of start seeing it. Cool. Back over to the PayPals here so I can keep up to date. Will the Weirwoods play any role in the Endgame? Well, I think I kind of mostly got that. Basically, we've the Green Seer hive mind has to get out, and that opens up room, like I said, Watch the Weir Walkers video. That explains it all. I think the others were the original Green Seer tree spirits that got pushed out when Azor Ahai invaded. So they might be going back into the Weirwoods. I also think in the heart of winter, we might find like a big frozen Weirwood or a frozen Weirwood forest or shade of the evening trees, which will turn out to be poisoned Weirwoods or something wild like that. I definitely look for Weirwoods and possibly Blackstone both in the heart of winter. I think Danny and John has to go to the heart of winter. And I did a whole live stream about that called Journey to the Heart of Winter, which I highly recommend. Hey, June Stevenson, what's up? Thank you. No question, just a donation. Appreciate that. Longtime patron. Oh, yes. We're having fun. We're having fun. And I see other people's channels' theories running around in the chat again. I don't really care about that, but, you know, that's for that channel. This is this channel. Anyway, so who we want to talk about next? Oh, Athena. Hey, from Greece. Yeah. Athena gave me the idea for this. I was thinking about doing this one, and the last little push over the edge was Athena from Greece going, you know, I can never catch your live streams. And I was like, you're like the 10th person to say that this week. I'm going to hook you guys up. So Sansa and Littlefinger. Yes, it is beer. I do have Yellowman. I got me some yellow vitamin water here. I haven't cracked it open. We're just rolling with the beer. This is Beers with Beers. That's the name of my late night streams. I'm David Beers. I'm drinking beers. It's late at night here. It's 12:52 on the West Coast in America. So yes, we're drinking beer. Is Davos going to be one of the 12 companions of the last hero? Yeah, I could definitely see that. We might need, wouldn't it be cool if we needed a captain to make some dreadfully awful voyage, even worse than Skagos? Do we need somebody to like sail somewhere up north or something? That would be awesome. Yeah, so everyone's thanking Athena now for pushing me over here to do this one. It's cool. So there's Journey to the Heart of Winter. Ever hit a steezy? You mean like steezy brand rosé? Yes, yeah, I know what's up with some steezy. We're steezy fans around here. Yes, Athena most wise indeed. Okay, so do you think Euron will try to sacrifice Maesters, stretching definitions of wizards and holy men? Sure, why not? Might as well give it a shot, right? If you're Euron. I do think Euron will do horrible things. He might hang Maesters by their ankles out the window of the Citadel or something like that. I mean, I would look for Old Town is going to become an absolute horror show. I believe that Euron will declare himself king atop the High Tower. I talked about that on some of the Euron streams. In fact, I've talked about Euron so much, I probably won't do much of that here. But I do think he's going to declare himself king in Old Town, just as many of the Targaryen kings have been coronated in Old Town, and including Aegon the Conqueror. And I think he will rule from atop the tower all of the next book, essentially. He will be Saruman, essentially. And he will do many horrible things in Old Town, yes, like hanging Maesters by their ankles out of the window, or just maybe throwing them out the window, or who knows what. I could see him also maintaining the Citadel, but replacing the leadership with his toadies, or just intimidating enough of them to where he can rule by fear. But I think he'll try to use the Citadel. Maybe the Starry Wisdom people will all take off their white robes and be like, Lord Euron has arrived. And there'll be a big plan, a conspiracy. But yes, uncomfortable and fascinating. The Euron Greyjoy story. If I were to do a Euron character stream, that would be a good name. Uncomfortable and fascinating. Oh, that's good. I like that. All right, having fun. This late night stream is a good idea. I'm digging it. No, I don't hit the weights, but I did as of Earth Day 3 days ago. I am officially going to grow a big old beard. And I was thinking that if I don't start doing some push-ups, my head will look too big for my skinny little body. So I'm not going to hit the weights, but maybe I'll do a couple push-ups. We'll see. We'll see. I'll document my fitness journey. No, not really. But shout out to Gray Area, who is doing one of those things. She's got a really powerful story, actually. A good old Gray Area. Sorry, not old, but my old friend, Gray Area. She's got a great channel. Check it out. Great area. You guys probably all know. But I think she started a second channel. I don't know what it's called, but I'm sure you can find it on her Twitter feed to document her fitness journey. So, yeah, and like personal transformation kind of vibe. So shout out to Gray for doing that. How's the book coming? Book is coming good. It is coming good. I got about to a certain point about a month ago and stopped. I shifted over to the Norse myth. After I put the Norse videos out, I might go back to working on the book. But yeah, it's coming along. It's one of those things where you write the chapter and then keep doing research, and then you come back and like, oh, that chapter now looks a little like too small in scope. I have these bigger ideas that need to go back in there. So I've actually been pumping up some of the earlier stuff that I've written. So yeah, it's going great. So Ratatoskr, and I don't know the actual Norse pronunciation of that one. I got to look that one up. Is the squirrel that goes up and down Yggdrasil and bears words of enmity between Nidogr, the serpent, and the eagle at the top that no one knows what the eagle does. Those are the children of the forest, mostly. The children of the forest. I think that's why they're called the squirrel people, is so that we think of, continue to think of the Weirwoods as Yggdrasil, and the sort of the people that live on the tree are the squirrel people. Those are the children of the forest. So, and then of course Arya gets all that skinny squirrel symbolism in the Riverlands. That's done to imply her as a children of the forest, like a young Nissa Nissa type thing. So the eagle looks majestic. That's his job. Fair enough, Smitty. Fair enough. I think Quaid is actually Dany's higher self and needs to merge with herself. Ooh, wow, that's trippy, dude. I think Quaid is either Shara Seastar or Alyssa Farman. Either one would be a great answer. But in a sense, like I don't know if you saw the Vedic Dany video, but the Kali symbolism, it runs through Quaid and Dany, and also Miriam Az-Dur, who briefly is like a mother role to Quaid. So in the way that we see the symbolism sort of repeat cycle by cycle, Dany has a lot of the same Kali mother goddess symbolism as Quaid. But I don't know. That's pretty trippy that they're like that's actually Quaid isn't actually a person, but like a projection of Dany's self. But who knows? I mean, shit could get pretty trippy. Okay, all right. I'll go there. I'll go to Ulthos speculation. The black forests on the map of Ulthos, are those black trees like the Shade of the Evening trees? Could be. If the Shade of the Evening trees are in Karth, it would make sense that they're not just in Karth, right? They should be somewhere else too. Maybe the Warlocks created those trees right there, and that's the only reason why they exist there. But yeah, I could see shade trees wild in Sothorios, couldn't you? Definitely in Ulthos, and that would make a nice parallel if they were clustered around Ashai and the Weirwoods are in the north. Yeah, I dig it. So the thing about Nissa Nissa, I feel like the way that people are thinking about it a lot of times is off, because you can't take the myth at face value. The face value myth says, in order to save the day and forge a hero's sword, you've got to sometimes just like stab your wife in the chest and do blood magic. And it's okay because it's a long night. That's kind of a trick. That's wrong. We're shown everywhere else in the book that blood magic is evil and sinister, and you don't sacrifice the lives of people to do magic, to make weapons, to do good things. That doesn't really work. So when you say somebody's Nissa Nissa or Azor Ahai, like, we're going to see that predatory version of Azor Ahai with Euron. He is set to kill his own salt wife, essentially, who's pregnant with his child in order to work magic. That's more like what Azor Ahai and Nissa Nissa did. The heroes will not be stabbing their loved ones in the chest. I feel very strongly about this. And I made a whole video about it called Azor Ahai, the bad guy. And it's discussing this entire topic. So check it out. Essentially, I think that it's the way to tell the difference between the heroes and the villains in this story is, are they sacrificing themselves to help people, or are they sacrificing other people to help themselves? Euron is sacrificing people to help himself. And Jon and Dany have shown the trait of sacrificing themselves for the greater good over and over and over. And so that's why I think Jon and Dany, a lot of shared values, get along really well, and they'll both be doing lots of bittersweet self-sacrifice to end the story, and they will go down as heroes, not murdering each other, either for no reason or to make a sword. I don't think that will happen. The exception to that is something more magical. Jon's already undead. Maybe Dany will become a fire white or will be otherized temporarily, and this will all be on a magical level. And we'll see a sword stabbing one way or the other. It could be either way, that will actually set somebody's soul free from enchantment or something wild like that. So we'll see a stabbing type of thing, but it won't, it will be, very different. So we'll see. We'll see. I am intrigued by the idea of Dragonglass being able to, in the show, was able to stop the otherization of Cold Hands. So I'm wondering if there's some way that sword stabbing can be used to like counter enchantment and not just kill. We'll see. There's a good one. Okay, let me grab that here. In Quaid's speech, when she says to go south, to go north, is she saying to go to Dorne to get Dawn to be able to fight the threat in the north? When she first started saying that, Quaid was like, Dany was not in Slaver's Bay yet. So she's kind of going south and east instead of going west and north when she wants to. I think that's what it means. I also think George originally had planned for Dany to go to Asshai. He said that, then he changed his mind. I think Dany instead will be seeing Asshai through a glass candle that Marwyn's going to bring her. So yeah, but it could mean that. It could mean Dany's entering Westeros in the south. I think she could end up in Old Town simply because she's going to be coming there probably on Victarion's fleet, and Euron's going to be in Old Town. So they could rendezvous up in Old Town, and they end up in the south and go north from there. I do think Dawn's going to come out to play. I talked about that in the Darkstar Will Steal Dawn video. It does need to get to Jon. I like the idea that Dany will get it first and give it to Jon. I love that, in fact. The path of Dawn that I see is Darkstar stealing it and joining Fagon's Kingsguard. That puts it in King's Landing when Dany invades. They're going to kill Fagon and wipe him out. They will take Dawn, and maybe she'll give it to Jorah because she promised Jorah a special sword. Or it'll be like she'll give it to Jon, and Jon will give Longclaw to Jorah because it's really the Mormont's sword. But I think that's the way it goes. I think Longclaw gets back to Jorah. I think Dawn gets to Jon, and the idea of Dany giving it to Jon is awesome. It would be sort of an inverse of the Azor Ahai Nissa Nissa, where Azor is giving Nissa Nissa the sword, if you will. And now this time we have Nissa Nissa giving the sword back to Jon. Almost like, I guess you could say Nissa Nissa gave Azor Ahai Lightbringer in the sense that only with her death was it forged. So in the sense she's giving him a sword. And if you remember the Galadon of Morn myth, which is another echo of Azor Ahai, it says the maiden herself gave Galadon the sword. So we have this idea of the swords coming from the goddess, from the woman, or from the moon, in the case of moon meteor swords. Bran might not be Strail in the books. I'm not sure what Strail is. That feels like a reference to a movie or story. I do not know. 200 some people watching, only 53 likes. Shame on you, European people. This is the thanks you give me. I stream late at night for you, and you don't even click like. I'm kidding. But do click like. That'd be sweet. Yes. I know you guys are out of practice. You don't normally do it. That's the whole thing. So you come and you got the super chat thing going on, but then I click the like button, and then the other thing you do is when we're done with this stream, on the way out, you type a little happy comment in the comment field below the video. That helps the video get seen, gets a little conversation going. I always answer the comments in the first 2 days of a video. So if you didn't get your question in here or have further thoughts, that's a good way to get it. So click like. Oh yes, soaring up the count. All right, thanks guys, appreciate it. Oh, come on, LML, it's 10 a.m. on a Sunday. Well, okay, well, it doesn't matter. I mean, It's 1 a.m. for me, so click like in either case. What role will Nymeria and her wolf pack play in the late game? Fucking shit up, to put it shortly. Check out King Bran 1, Ancient Greenseer Kings of Westeros. I talked about that specifically. I have found foreshadowing that not only will Nymeria lead the wolf pack, that Bran will be involved too, and that they will be some major warging action. Nymeria. So I'm going to talk about this in the Norse video. The third, I'm split it in 3 parts. The third one is going to talk about the Berserkir and the Ulfhednar warriors of Odin, which are the wolf warriors and the bear warriors. The word berserker comes from Berserkir, and it means bear shirt. Shout out to Brady Bjorn Bear Shirt. And these were frenzied warriors who would wear the skins of bears and wolves. They would live in the wild and just sort of become one with their animal fury. And they were the crazy warriors, the shock troops, if you will. Yes, Skala from Denmark. Martin. And so John is shaping up to be an Ulfhednar, a wolf warrior. And I think it's interesting that his sword went from a bear sword to a wolf sword. There's a lot of bear and wolf stuff up there in the north. So that's what that's about. Those are Odin's warriors. Arya is really interesting because she combines Valkyrie symbolism. Shout out to Sweet Sunray. Carl Karsnark, see if you can Google this. Sweet Sunray, Valkyrie of the Faceless Men, Arya. It's on Westeros.org. It's a great theory about all the Valkyrie symbolism in Arya's arc. Just real quick, the Valkyries were the choosers of the slain. They wandered the battlefield and they chose warriors to go to Valhalla to fight with Odin at Ragnarok, which is a great honor, of course. And Arya is literally a chooser of the slain. It's not quite the same, but she's walking around choosing people to die. So that's the beginning of it. But when she leads the wolf pack, she, in her wild wolfish state, she will also be an Ulfhednar. So Odin's children are all around the story, essentially. And Arya's got some stuff going on there. So that's exactly right. Yes, Azor Ahai does have good and bad representations and parallels. To the extent that there is one truth. Originally, the truth is that this was an act of evil. I do think that is the preeminent truth. However, the echoes of Azor Ahai we do see all over the place. Think about it like this. Azor Ahai Sr. is the bad version. The good version of Azor Ahai is the last hero figure. He also has a magic sword. He has a sword of dragon steel, and he is fighting the others and winning the war for the Dawn. I think that was the son or nephew or brother or something like that of evil Azor Ahai. So we got a family affair. We had tons of echoes of brothers, nephews, uncles, sons and fathers killing each other. So I think it's one of those things. And so you're heroic. Like I said, your heroes are self-sacrificing. And I believe the last hero died and was resurrected. So let me go back here. Yeah, if I miss your super chat, just tag me and remind me. We can go back for it. So you send a longer comment on Patreon. Very good. I will get it, Slick Willie. I'll look for it. I keep calling you Slick Willie because the one looks like an eye, and I'm old enough to remember Bill Clinton's Slick Willie nickname. Let's see. Did I miss another one? Oh, here we go. This is the one I missed. If the long night is caused by moon meteors, as I claim, explain the creation of the White Walkers versus what the TV canon states. Oh, yes, I can do that. That's easy, in the words of Brave Sir Robin. So the White Walkers, what we saw on the show, first of all, is not canon for the books, obviously. But it's very likely that the show's ideas about the White Walkers, at least in part, were drawn on stuff that George may have told them about the books. Now, what you would notice is that when they made the White Walkers, the guy that became the Night King was tied to a weirwood tree, right? They didn't explain that. They didn't say why he was tied to a weirwood tree, because what we saw was a dragon glass knife get pushed into his chest, and then his eyes turn blue. And presumably he's the one that can make the White Walker infantrymen. He seems to be different, right? So the Children of the Forest make Night King. Night King makes White Walkers. But why was he backed up against a weirwood tree? They didn't explain it, but he wasn't just tied to a stone and then had the thing. He wasn't tied to the ground. He was specifically tied to the most magical thing in the story, which is a weirwood tree. So kind of makes you wonder, is there more there? Is there a deeper truth that the show didn't elaborate on? Is there a connection between the White Walkers or Night King or whatever and the Weirwoods? The answer is yes, in my opinion. So check out the Weir Walkers video. It has the best answer for this. But essentially, the more complicated version is not that the children created the White Walkers, but rather that the White Walkers are the spirits of dead Greenseers that were in the Weirwood tree. And Azor Ahai, who became Night King, invaded the Weirwood tree, forcing out the tree spirits. Those tree spirits, when they get pushed out of the tree, they were shadows at that point. They somehow gained icy bodies. That's a different part of the mystery. And those are the others. And the others are kind of like elves. They walk around the woods. They haunt the woods. George compares them to the Sidhe of Irish folklore, who are like basically dead spirits of the mounds and the woods. Spirit people, spirits from the other world, things like that. And so the elves, the others are essentially, they bear the symbolism and the hallmarks of icy elves that are pissed, right? They're pissed off. And why are they pissed? Well, because they've been kicked out of their home. So the theory that I'm talking about, as far as the other creation, is actually pretty similar to what was on the show. Now, the moon meteor component is different. Now, what we're talking about is the creation of the White Walkers. That's not the cause of the long night. Those are different things. The White Walkers seem to have been created during the long night, and certainly the events could be and probably are related. But these are different components of the same set of events. So I think that essentially, I still don't know whether or not Azor Ahai called the comet on purpose, broke the moon on purpose, or whether he might have been playing with magical forces beyond his control and have thrown off the balance of the universe somehow and caused the disaster via accident. Either one of those could make a good story. A wizard that is, think of the Bloodstone Emperor as the high priest of starry wisdom, in the Lovecraftian high priest of the temple that should not be named, or whatever that title is. This is an evil sorcerer looking to the stars, trying to gain immortality. Maybe he sees calling the comet, calling space rocks to Earth as a way to possess power, because we're told the Bloodstone Emperor worshipped the black stone that fell from the sky. And he was clearly a sorcerous person. So we're left to imply that his oily black stone that he worshipped was some sort of power object. So that could have been all intentional, or it could have been that was accidental and happened after the fact. So it's pretty fun. George leaves us to speculate. I don't even know if we'll get an answer, but that's the best 5-minute answer I can give you there for that one. So they are linked. Think about it this way: the Weirwood tree is a celestial world tree like Yggdrasil. So it represents the celestial axis of the world. It represents the structure of the universe, the framework of the universe. So if you invade that, if you corrupt that, it makes sense that it would throw off the balance of the universe somehow in a sort of magical thinking kind of a way. You guys are killing it with the questions. Thank you very much. Great questions today. Yeah, the Australians are chilling. They're like 6 p.m., baby. I'm comfortable. It's sunny. Got a cocktail or something. Shout out to Men at Work. I come from the land down under. Men at Work are great. I actually like Men at Work. I met a strange lady. She made me nervous. We became internet friends in a week. Okay, I'll work on that. I'll get it. There should be what's the other Men at Work song? It's perfect for a Song of Ice and Fire spoofing. It occurred to me just the other day. Who Can It Be Now? Yeah, Who Can It Be Now? I totally think that could be like some Faceless Men action, some Arya action. Who can it be now? Okay, I'll stop singing and answer super chats. Thanks, guys. Thanks. It's late at night. Forgive me. Can someone spell warg? It's W-A-R-G. It's actually a variant of a Norse. It's the anglicized form of a Norse word called vargar, which is V-A-G-R. V-A-R-G-R. That's it. Vargar, which kind of sounds like a growl. Vargar. So that's what it's from. But warg is W-A-R-G. And that is from Norse myth, and I'll explain that in the new videos. Oh, yeah. Hey, Squisher King just found the late night stream. Could Bran steal Jon's dead body with Weirwood magic? You know, some people have had that idea. Maybe for a short time. Okay, so if Jon's body is stolen by the others while his spirit is in his wolf, which I think is very possible, maybe even probable. And check out my Jon videos. I forget the titles at this point, but I've got a couple of Jon videos all about this. The others will steal Jon's body. That was the title. Yes, very self-explanatory. So if the others steal Jon's body, I think Bran is the #1 candidate to try to help steal it back. So that could involve Bran forcing his way into Jon's corpse and pushing out the others or something. That would be cool. And that would also be, this would be an echo of Azor Ahai invading the Weirwood net, wouldn't it? If Bran, as the Green Seer, invaded Jon's body and kicked out the other spirit, the other magic that was controlling the body. It's kind of reversed because the other spirit is the parasite. But yeah, that's cool. That would be a weird, like, twisted echo. So very cool, Adam. Teamwork. You and me, baby. You and me. Putting it together right here. Nice. Exactly. The Vargar is a wolf, especially the wolves Fenrir and Skoll and Hati, or Geri and Freki. Basically the great wolves, but it also can refer to any wolf. And then Tolkien used it to refer to the wolves that were sort of evil, ridden by the orcs. George is the one who turned it into the shape-shifting thing. Separately, Odin also does shape-shifting. So he took a couple of different Norse ideas and created the skin-changing idea. All right. Thank you, Mr. Karshnak. And as you can tell, I have schooled myself on Norse mythology over the past month, so I'm into it. I'm learning. I'm actually really getting into it. So look for definitely more Norse myth. I'm going to do a Norse mythology Azor Ahai video. Definitely a Ragnarok one. Thinking about moving to Roman mythology next, guys. I know I sometimes leave ideas hanging here and there, but in fact, I promised a corruption of the Weirwood net video that I need to do. But yeah, I think I might do some Roman mythology next. I mean, we obviously Lucifer and Venus stuff comes from Roman mythology, but. And yes, it's obviously very similar to Greek mythology, so it might be kind of two at the same time. But there are some specifics to Roman mythology, some of the different names, some of the different stories that are being, there are some differences. It's not exactly the same as Greek myth. Specifically, the Romulus and Remus being suckled by wolves thing is interesting. I haven't thought about that hard enough, but that definitely seems like something might be there. Ooh, that's interesting. So Fenrir, of course, he's bound. That's the whole thing about his story. They try 3 times to bind him. It's very much like a Samson thing. Like Fenrir comes to live in Valhalla with the Aesir, and he grows bigger and bigger. They adopt him as a puppy, and then he turns into this monstrous wolf. And they're like, oh gosh, what do we do? So they're trying to trick him into being bound. They try 3 times, and they're kind of like, oh, Fenrir is so strong, he could break any chain, and he's and I don't know. They use reverse psychology on him, and the last thing they try is this silken chain made by the dwarves, and it works. It binds him, and so Fenrir is bound until Ragnarok. Then he breaks free and he kills Odin actually, and then Baldur, the son of Odin, kills Fenrir. So Bran is a Fenrir parallel. Jojen sees Bran as a winged wolf, but bound in chains. Fenrir is not known for having wings, but he is definitely bound. So the question here, which is a good one, is there a correlation to the Starks being tricked, trapped, and bound? Unfortunately, perhaps alluding to Ghost. Yeah, if you think about the Starks, they definitely seem to be like they've got the Hades vibes. They're guarding the underworld. They're kind of like the Night's Watch. They've got this solemn duty. It's not a lot of fun, but they just got to keep it up. And they are kind of chained to Winterfell and the Wall. So there's some parallels there. One thing that I wondered about is, like I said, Fenrir kills Odin. All right, so Bloodraven is the strongest Odin parallel, and Bran is spelled out as a Fenrir analog. So what does that mean? Does that mean that Bran is going to kill Bloodraven? If Bran downloads the Weirwood net, that could involve killing Bloodraven in a sense. It could be darker. Maybe Bloodraven has darker intentions for Bran, and they're going to have a conflict. I'm not really sure. Could also be that the Odin that Bran's Fenrir will kill isn't Bloodraven, but rather the Night's King whenever he emerges. Because all the Night's King figures are like evil Odins. They're icy Odin figures. And so it could make sense that we will see Euron as the Odin. Euron, or whoever becomes Night King, I guess you could say, as the Odin that Bran will kill. That would make more sense to me. So there you go. Bran could also consume Bloodraven. That's good. Right, exactly. That could be a way that we could see that come true. If Bloodraven dies and then he's part of that Weirwood net that goes into Bran, Bran is essentially consuming him just as Fenrir eats Odin with his jaws, right? So that's cool. Hey guys, if you're filing in late, this is part one of a two-part Q&A. We're going to do one tomorrow at the normal time, 6 Eastern, 3 Pacific, and it's like 10 GMT. Yes, 10 GMT. So it's Endgame predictions. I'm taking questions on basically the Endgame. How do you think so-and-so's story or story element will end? So where's Loki in all this? So Loki, I need to do more Loki research. But so the children of Loki are Hel, Jormungandr, and I forget the name of the third one. Fenrir is Loki's child. So a wolf, a snake, and I'm screwing this up. Crap. Hang on a second. I read this somewhere. There's a theory on an old blog, and it was pretty cool. Yeah, I got it right. So Fenrir, Jormungandr, and Hel. So Daenerys is very much a Hel analog. Fenrir is Bran, and Jormungandr as a dragon. The thing about Jormungandr is a dragon, but that's tied to Yggdrasil. So that really could be. Well, let me just step back and say that we've got a fire lady, a dragon, and a wolf. These are the forces of Loki. So that really sounds like actually all of our favorite characters, like Jon, Bran, and Dany, kind of correlate there, right? So the thing is, I think that Jon, Dan, and Bran, I'm inventing new pit, Dan Stark, Bran, Jon, and Dany will essentially be the soldiers of Bloodraven. So you can actually see Bloodraven as the Loki figure. And that makes sense too, because of the sort of if you look at Bloodraven, like he is always meddling with stuff and manipulating stuff, kind of like Loki. So it could be George doing a weird thing where Bloodraven is doing Loki and Odin stuff. But I need to look into that more to figure out what's up with Loki and all that. So let me flip back over to PayPal's. Yeah, I got a couple more. Thanks, guys. Patrick saying thank you. You're welcome, Patrick. Andrea asking about Benjen. Do you think we will find out what happened to Benjen and the other missing Rangers? Yes, I do. Good question. That's my answer. Yes, I do think we'll find out. No, I'm kidding. Let me pull this one. Yeah, if you want Sleipnir stallion symbolism, check out Weirwood Compendium either 9 or 10. I can't remember which, but it's called Shamanic Thunder Horse. Sleipnir Madness. So Benjen is dead. He's definitely dead. He's definitely either whited or otherized, and seeing him again will suck. that is what I'm going to tell you. Yeah. So why would Benjen be Baldur? Baldur is he's beautiful. He's the shining one. Jaime actually seems a lot like Baldur as far as like the description, even though he's Tyr in as far as getting his hand, losing his hand and also being associated with justice and things like that. So the Tyr Jaime stuff is cool. Shamanic Thunder Horse is a good name for a band. I like that. Yeah, Varys is a Loki figure. See, the thing about the trickster is that Loki is a trickster, but the trickster is an archetype that goes outside of Loki. It's just everywhere in mythology, and there's a lot of trickster characters. Like Peter Baelish is a #1 trickster character, but Bael the Bard is also like a Loki figure. And that's a Night King guy. So is Baelish, honestly. So I think bottom line is Night King has both Odin and Loki stuff going on. So Bloodraven may as well. I believe that is what's going on. And this one, okay. From Katie, love your work, no question. Just a happy subscriber, very good. Glad to keep you happy. Cool. All right, up to date. We're having fun. Lots of questions. You guys really did have a lot of questions you were waiting to get in. This was a great idea. I'm glad I did it. Do you think the 7 kingdoms will break up at the end of the books? Definitely could fragment a little bit. It's not really a reason for the North or the Iron Islands or Dorne to be in the realm with the other, areas. The Erie is pretty self-sufficient too. So I could see that fracturing, or perhaps something more like just a changeover from monarchy to something a little more spread out, diffused power to the regions. We really need a Senate here is what we need. So we'll see. The Senate of Ice and Fire. Yeah, Jakin. Okay, I could see that. Yep. Oh, Rhaegar is Baldur. Oh, that makes sense. Yes. Okay. That makes sense. Wasn't supposed to die, but did. Shining and beautiful. Totally. Very good. Baldur. Rhaegar and Baldur. Yes. Very good. Nice job. So, is Bloodraven a good Night's King? Someone's asking. I lost the comment. Where'd it go? Jan. Kinda, yes. Night's King and Bloodraven. If you think about it, the three-eyed crow is an archetype. The green seer that heads the Night's Watch and the forces of the living. That's an archetype in opposition to the Night's King. So the last green seer is aligned with the last hero in the Watch. Night's King is like a frozen green seer, and he is allied with the whites and the forces of ice and death. And they're very much opposite pairs with matching symbolism. That's why Euron is like evil Bloodraven, essentially. So check out the Euron videos for more on that. Fenrir doesn't kill Odin until Ragnarok, which has not come to pass. He bites the arm off Tyr earlier. He's still bound. No question. Just happy with responses. Yeah. So, the way that George does these echoes and parallels, they're kind of repeat over several times. So the idea of Fenrir as a wolf that's like growing bigger and bigger and becoming this threat that nobody knows what to do with, that could describe Bran's sort of darker side, in the sense that he's this boy with all this power, but does he know how to wield it responsibly? Does he understand morality and stuff? The body snatching of Hodor is troubling, and he's broken other taboos. So that's sort of anybody that has a lot of magic power is also potentially a threat or a monster. We see that with Dany very obviously. She's constantly thinking about the dragons being a threat or causing collateral damage. But Bran's the same thing. Like, he could be a monster too. And Jon will be a monster by definition when he's a white. So George is always playing with that theme. And then, yeah, and that's the thing. Like, Bloodraven isn't ready to die until things are, moving pretty close to the end. So that would be Bran leaving the cave, the others moving out, all that kind of stuff. Yes, Rhaegar was killed on the Trident by Robert Baratheon's mistletoe dart. Well, see, mistletoe translates to hammer. No, it doesn't. It doesn't. Not at all. Not everything's equivalent. So Sam will become a wizard in the sense that he's in charge of the Weirwood net information. So Bran, like I was saying earlier, Bran goes from being a green seer to being a guy with all the knowledge in his head, who's now the king. With him and Sam are going to set down the history from the Weirwood net onto the pages of books. So Sam will be a book wizard essentially, but he'll be organizing the information of an actual tree wizard. So he's part of that translation from the Weirwood net to the book. So in the Hodor, which is Hodor is Baldur's brother, and he kills him by accident. It's a whole story with the mistletoe dart. So could Bran essentially body snatch Hodor and kill Bloodraven? Yes, that could happen. Absolutely, that would be twisted. Bloodraven or Hodor like strangling Bloodraven or something. That's really twisted, man. Thanks, Martin. The Isle of Faces, yes. I think the White Walkers may very well be trying to get to the Isle of Faces. If it's really the hub of the Weirwood net, that might be like the last thing for them to do to permanently like deep freeze Westeros. Or it could be that they're marching towards the Isle of Faces because that's literally their home, if you will. They're ex-Green Men. So it could be that the last magical stuff will go down on the Isle of Faces concerning the Walkers and the Green Men. I think Bran will probably go there, definitely. Some people think maybe he could even rule from the Isle of Faces, but that seems like kind of a administration bugaboo. If nothing else, it's like a very big moat around a very small castle. Doesn't make a lot of sense. But yes, the Isle of Faces will play a role. It'll be major Weirwood net shit going down. And I think the original Azor Ahai and Nissa crap may have happened on the Isle of Faces as well, not in the East. Explain how much Bloodraven has influenced Song of Ice and Fire with Mormont's Raven and the others. Yeah, well, I actually going to talk about that a little bit in the video, but Bloodraven's influence it's hard to measure. Anything involving the animals could be Bloodraven. I don't think Bloodraven is manipulating people left and right. I think he is visiting Bran. He may have visited Euron, but mostly I think he's rigging the Night's Watch elections and stuff like that. Yeah, he might have helped lead the direwolves down south of the wall. Kind of makes sense. Will Stannis fight the others? A couple of people commenting on that. I'd like to see that, but I'm not sure. He's got to win the Battle of Winterfell. He's got to get up back to the wall. I think once he gets back to the wall and sees that Shireen is dead, or maybe even participates in that, I think that's the last note for Stannis. I think he'll probably die, or maybe commit suicide or something. Maybe he'll just throw himself against the others in grief, but I don't think he'll survive the story. I do think he'll survive the Battle of Winterfell. Oh, look, it's 420. It's no, it's not really, but it is. So I'm probably going to go another like 15 minutes or so. I'm going to do another stream tomorrow, so I don't want to completely wear myself out. But if you so if you have any last questions, is now the time to try to throw them at me. Will Lady Stoneheart die again after she completes her quest for vengeance? Will linger on to haunt the Riverlands? I certainly hope she gets to rest, man. I certainly hope she gets to rest. Yeah, I think it would be cool if she transferred her flame of life to somebody else, wouldn't it? I don't know who that would be, but this always happens when people make a comment like this. I only see this comment and not the original question. Let me scroll back and try to find it. You should repeat the question when you tag me so that I see it when I see your comment. Yeah, see, I can't find it here. There's one from Lauren's Corner. Reflect more of a breaking of the British Empire into the Commonwealth and the North, like Scotland trying to break free of the South. Yeah, that actually makes sense. It's the North that's most likely to be independent, I would say. So. Let's see. No, I did not really talk about Tyrion's Endgame, but I would like to. So thank you for that. And Lazar, just try to repeat. I repeated at the bottom. I don't know. I don't see your question. Sorry. Or somebody can help her repeat it for me. And it's totally okay. I just, it's sometimes hard to see things in the chat. Okay, so Tyrion is going to get, he's going to be the most different from the books of almost anyone. Tyrion's going to get nasty. He's going to be the Monkey Demon King, like Sun Wukong. He's going to be very Loki-like. He's going to be kind of amoral, and he might end up doing something in Dany's name that Dany does not approve of. I could see that. But he's going to be very effective. He's full of rage and strategy, and he's going to be a very powerful figure in the last couple of books. So I'm excited to see where Tyrion's his arc goes. I think he's going to be very powerful and interesting. So I think George has a lot planned for him. Theon. So tomorrow's stream is the normal time. It'll be 6 Eastern, 10 GMT, 3 Pacific. So Theon, he's already echoing the Grey King. He's turning gray in Winterfell, and he's being tied to the Weirwood trees and Bran. I think he really, so I talked about this in the Vedic Dany video. The word Theon is derived from Theos, which means God, and a Theon is an objective. It's the object form. It's a divine object, basically. It's a thing that is godly. And so that suggests that Theon himself is a device of the gods, and Bran is starting to whisper to him through the Weirwood trees. So I think he will become an instrument of Bran and the Starks to some extent. It's hard to see how that will happen, how it will go, but here we go. There we go. Do you think that the Seven Kingdoms will collapse by the end of the story? Yeah, so that's what I was just saying. Not collapse, but I think they will decentralize, because I really think it's going to be important for Bran to be able to get all that information written down. So I think there will be a certain amount of stability. So not collapse. Well, if you're asking how desperate things will get during the long night, I guess so. Yes, during the long night itself, which should last more than a day, hopefully, it will get very dark. We could see a widespread breakdown of order. It all depends on how long it goes on and how far south the others get. I think it's going to happen too quickly to consider it like a collapse of an empire. It's just going to be lawlessness and chaos, and it's a question of how much will reform out of it, I guess. But it's the long night this time around is only going to last like a few weeks or something like that. It's not going to go on for years, because George is only going to write 2 more books. So yes, the short night. By the way, the 2-year anniversary of the short night is coming up in like 3 or 4 days. Also, the anniversary of me setting my life on fire and getting canceled at Ice and FireCon. Oh, that was fun. Never better, by the way. Never better. So here we go. What else we got? Tyrion is a villain, of course. George called Tyrion a villain, did he? That's interesting. Like I said, he's a villain in that he doesn't sacrifice himself. He He's mostly a self-centered figure, but George could be thinking about where he's taking him. You know, definitely it could be some dark stuff from Tyrion. The guy is full of hate and rage. Send me the interview on Twitter. Cool. Yes. Thank you. Yeah. Lauren's Corner remembers that day. Ah, yes. If you were on Twitter that day, you will remember. Just remember, if you get canceled for something that isn't really legit, it probably won't stick. That's what I have to say about canceling. Accountability is good. Internet mobs, not always good. But if they're full of shit, then that shit will roll off your back eventually and you'll be all right. So for anybody who's dealing with cancellation in the crowd. Yeah, well, Luke, I'm afraid I can't tell the whole story here. That would be mining drama that's best left in the grave. But yeah, it's there. So you can find it somewhere if you go digging. But I'm a nice person, and I don't think I did anything wrong. I stand behind all of my actions. So yeah, I don't know. It's pretty silly. Honestly, it was some high school bullshit. That's probably what I could say is some dumb high school bullshit that seemed really big at the time and actually was just really dumb and small. And you know, moving onward and upward. So that's probably a good way to sum it up. Yes. Do follow me on Twitter. If you're on Twitter, at the Dragon LML. I'm on Insta also, Lucifer Means Lightbringer. I just throw random pictures and stuff on Insta. And if you want my lefty politics, that's on Twitter, and various other just commentary on events of the world. That's on Twitter. Let's see here. Who will rule the Iron Islands? I really hope it's Asha. Asha's speech at the King's Moot won my heart. Made so much sense. And I think she has all the skills of a good leader. I would be upset, honestly, if she is not in charge. So I really think it's Asha. Could be Asha and Theon together, you know. That could make sense too. But yeah, Asha's got to be Asha, man. Let's see here. Oh yes, well, Helen, that's the thing about high school kids is they don't, you know, they talk about dumb shit because they don't have anything else going on. Isn't that the case? Anyways, holding out for someone to nuke the Iron Islands. Well, lots of stuff could get destroyed by meteors. That is always a possibility. So, like the Eyrie has all the symbolism of the avalanche, you know, that's set up there. And even if it doesn't get hit, I think there'll be earthquakes. So big enough meteor strikes do cause earthquakes, folks. And I think that's the kind we're going to get. So yeah, I could see earthquakes rumbling across Westeros. We could see multiple disasters. But it's always hard to tell what is symbolism. Like the idea of the Eyrie promising an avalanche. Well, the entire Eyrie is full of other symbolism. So that avalanche could refer to the long night, and there's not actually going to be an avalanche in the Eyrie. That's always a question. Do you agree with the North being Scotland? Definitely the North is Scotland. The Eyrie, Ireland. Okay, I could see that a little bit. Iron Islands, Norse. Stormlands, Germany. The Reach, France. Dorne, Spain. Yeah, this is pretty much established. Pretty much established that these are loosely parallels. You could basically take, Westeros and actually just turn it on its side like this, so that the Iron Islands, instead of being on the side, they turn into the north, like where Scandinavia is, and that would put Dorne down in Spain, and the rest of it almost lays out perfectly if you do that. So even though Westeros, the shape of the continent, is actually Ireland turned upside down, with like part of the UK tacked onto it weirdly, region-wise, you flip. I got to look this way to do the orientation, but you flip it over like this, so that the Iron Islands become the Scandinavian peninsula, and then you will see all of those correlations essentially lay out on the map. Just ran a bit of information for you. Rage and strategy, the Tyrion Lannister story. Yeah, full of rage and strategy. That would be it. So yeah, the original one supposedly lasted for a generation. I've proposed 13 years. It's actually the Night King's reign that's said to last 13 years. This long night will be short. I mean, a few weeks, like I said, long enough for the others to invade Westeros and almost kill everyone, but not for years, because it just wouldn't make sense narratively. And yes, don't forget to leave a comment on your way out of the live stream. I'm still taking last questions here, but yeah. Thank you so much, guys, for all the PayPals and Super Chats today. Making me feel like you guys appreciate the stream, so that's cool. You think the story of the others will conclude in Winds of Winter or A Dream of Spring? Like, could the Peninsula? No. So the whole last book won't be an epilogue. No, that would be horrible. That would be horrible. No, I think at the end of Winds of Winter, the furthest we're going to get is the fall of the Long Night. And in fact, I think it has to be the climax of Winds of Winter. The onset of the Long Night should be like the end of Emperor Strikes Back. It should be the absolute low point of the second trilogy of sort of classic dramatic action. There's the classic drama, of course, the rising action, the climax, and whatever. There's two of those cycles with the Song of Ice and Fire. This is the second go around. So the end of Winds should be the fall of the Long Night, the meteor strike, whatever's going to happen. And A Dream of Spring will be about taking on the others. And I'd say the last quarter of the book will be your kind of scouring of the Shire, cleaning things up type of thing. Martin has said he plans on doing that. So we will get that cleaned up a little bit. Quite welcome, Andy. And everyone else. Cool. Looks like I said I was going to take all your questions. So like I said, I think I got them all, but I will hang on here just for a second. Oh, Lauren's Corner. Yeah, we should do that. Lauren's Corner, who lives in Scotland and knows actual shit about Scotland. Yeah, that's totally cool. We should do that. Let's call it a date, Lauren. I accept that. I went on your channel a long time ago. Owe you an appearance on my channel. So yes, let's do that. That would be great. Could explore some of the Scottish influences on the north. On the north. Great. I'll work on my accent, or maybe not. Maybe I won't do it at all, and I'll let you take care of that. But yeah, cool. Thank you, Lauren. We've been friends for a while. Lauren's Corner. Shout out to she has Lauren's Corner YouTube channel, does poetry and all kinds of other stuff on there. So check that out. But yeah, thank you for offering. Accept your offer. We shall do it. Why does Zarozo and Daxos bless Dany in the name of the Lord of Light? Well, I think that Zarozo and Daxos and some other Easterners possibly sort of honor many of the gods, R'hllor and other gods as well. R'hllorism is very popular in the East. It's all over the place. So he could be a believer, or he could just be sort of the worldview of certain people, where they just think that there are different gods that are real, and you honor certain gods on certain times and other gods at other times, or mention them at different times. Like Jaqen, for example, is Faceless Men priest, but talks about Hymn of Fire referring to R'hllor, and also swears an oath with his hand in a weirwood tree one time. So, something like that, probably. Stoneheart and Jon Snow are too far away. I don't think they'll ever get close to each other. There's a great book on the Scottish connections called The North Remembers. Yeah, well, you don't need to read that book. You can watch our stream that we're going to do instead. Oh, yeah, I sound more Irish. Yeah. The Scottish is like, that takes real work to get the Scottish thing right. We can work on, yeah, no. Okay. Behind the scenes, maybe. I don't want to torture anybody. But I have worked on my rolled R's quite a bit. So you can say Ragnarok, Heimdall. Cool, guys. Well, yeah, it is late. It's like 1:50. Maybe I should go to bed. All right, guys. Well, thanks for coming through. It's lots of fun. I will be back tomorrow. Probably most of you guys will be asleep or busy, but yeah, I got the normal stream tomorrow coming too. So thanks for all the great questions. We hit a whole bunch of characters on Endgame topics. And it's going to be the same topic tomorrow. I'm just basically a different crowd. So I'll give them a chance to ask Endgame predictions questions, and I'll try to cover different ones than I did tonight so that those of you watching after the fact will have reason to watch both videos. So there you go. All right, folks. Have a good night or good morning or whatever it is, wherever you are. And thank you very much. Again, thanks. Great questions. Lots of support tonight. Really appreciate it. Leave a comment on the way out, and I'll have those Norse videos to you very soon. Hopefully, I can put the first one out maybe like Monday or Tuesday. I'm trying. I'm just going to keep drinking Red Bull until they're out. So catch you next time, guys. We're going to be Florida. Thank you very much. And I'll see you tomorrow.